Okay, so my official prediction that I am forced into by my own network is 286 to 252 Kamala Harris with tons of fingers crossed. And the number one reason why I'm crossing those fingers is because 4 years with Donald Trump will be utter chaos, anarchy, pilfering, oligarchy amplified on steroids, putting his donors completely in charge of the government.
Nostradamus of presidential elections. Historian Alan Lichtman from American University predicted 9 of the last 10 elections correctly. And he has a prediction who will win the Oval Office in 2024. Joining me now on the morning show, Alan Lichtman. It is a pleasure. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I would say 10 out of 10. I think I got 2,000 right, as I proved in my report to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Gore should have won that election, but for the tossing out of black votes.
Who do you think is going to occupy the White House?
According to the keys to the White House, the incumbent Democrats, Harris, the nominee, are down 4 keys. It takes 6 or more false keys to count them out and predict that Donald Trump will return to the White House. That's why my prediction system, with a 40-plus year track record, predicts that Kamala Harris will be a new path-breaking president, the first woman president, and the first president of mixed African and Asian descent. Kind of foreshadowing where America's going. We're rapidly becoming a majority-minority country. Old white guys like me.
Wow, 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 folks. Some of the biggest losers within the prognostication community, the election forecasting community, the polling community, Hollywood, the hypocrites in Hollywood, academia, the mainstream medium. Folks, I'm telling you what, we were all praying. I was praying that besides, if Donald Trump would have lost, can you imagine listening to the smug face of Alan Lichtman coming on? This guy would have been the toast of the town for the liberals and the progressives. I bet you he was there absolutely dreaming. For him, this would have been bottom of the 9th, down by 3, 3-2 pitch, you're up to bat, and you smack a home run for a grand slam to win the World Series. That's what Alan Lichtman was thinking, folks. He had fairies dancing in plum in his head. And all I can say is that not only would we conservatives and Republicans have had to factor in a Donald Trump loss, if that would have happened, but to add insult to that injury, besides of what would have happened, and the country would have got, just absolutely in a complete spiral to the downside, we would have had to listen to the cackling laugh of Kamala and the people like Alan Lichtman, people like Sink, the Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, Brian Austin Green from 90210. I think it's Brian Cohen, whatever. It's his cousin or his twin or something like that. Or Tim Miller at the Bulwark, which should now probably be called the Bullshit. Or those 3 guys at the Midas Touch. They don't have the Midas touch, folks. They just have, I don't even know what they have, but they don't have anything over there. Simon Rosenberg. I'm trying to think of some of the others. There's so many others. David the Pac-Man. How could I forget you, David? But all these guys would have been taking a victory lap. More than a victory lap. They would have been stomping on it. They would have been all over it, folks. And so all I can say is, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God Almighty. And the Republican Party, and for Donald Trump, and for conservatives, and for the United States of America for getting the victory. Because now we can be the ones that they've got to listen to. We can be, hey, I'm going to be intellectually honest here. I'm going to take some smug bows. These are my smug bows, Alan. Hey, Simon Rosenberg, what do you think of my smug bows? How about you, Brian Austin Green, Brian Taylor Cohen? How about you, David the Pac-Man? I'm just taking my smug bows. What about you guys at the Young Jerks? I mean the Young Turks. Come on now. At the Bulwark. Oh my God, I'm just so glad it's me that can be taking those smug bows and can, be a little narcissistic here because I called it correctly. And there were so many pollsters that everybody was saying, right-wing pollsters like Atlas, Intel, that basically got it spot on. And like Mark Mitchell at Rasmussen, pretty much spot on. On point politics, Red Eagle politics, Gold Crown politics, Atlas Intel, Insider Advantage, Trafalgar. Oh, Rich Barris at the People's Pundit. All these guys, they got it right. And I'm sick and tired of hearing the mainstream media going, yeah, the polling was off again. They underestimated Donald Trump. Yes, the leftist loser pollsters. Those that were the corporate pollsters. The ones that were basically for what? Money and movement. Get as much money as you can and then try to move the sentiment, the narrative in the direction they want it to go. Ann Seltzer, that dunce. Oh, she's out of the polling. She's probably in the polling business. I hope she got a huge, huge check. Because basically, it's shot. Her credibility out the effing window. Alan Lichtman, credibility out the window. Doesn't matter what he did before. This was the one that was going to cement him as the guru, as the saint, as the prognosticator, the king of. This is the one that was going to send him basically over the top, folks. And I couldn't be happier that it's not happening to him. Couldn't have happened to a worser guy. And we're going to show you some clips later. Folks, I'm telling you, he looks like he's in the throes of depression. Now, I hope he snaps out of it. It's just an election, Alan. It's just an election. But I'm telling you, folks, you can take a look at my predictions. I'll tell you, I thought that Trump's wave was going to be even bigger because I really thought that he was going to flip New Mexico, Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire. I really, really thought he would. So I put those in there. And I know a lot of people didn't, but that was the status quo. Everybody had the 7 going plus Nevada to Trump. I predicted that there was going to be a 55-seat majority. I think I missed on 3. I was really hoping Kari Lake was going to pull it out. But Slotkin and, oh my goodness, Baldwin, I believe, they eked it out. But I was predicting that we were going to capture the Senate. I thought it was going to 55. I think we're going to end up with 53. I said we were going to retain the House. And I also said when I made my predictions, I said, would I care if New Hampshire doesn't flip or Virginia? Oh, Virginia was the other one I thought that was going to flip. If Virginia doesn't flip, New Hampshire doesn't flip, Minnesota doesn't flip, New Mexico doesn't flip. Do I care? Of course not. Of course not. As Sancta Jank of the Young Turks says, all we needed was 270. We're probably going to end up 312, 315. But anyways, it is just so nice to be able to sit here now, take a breath, breathe a sigh of relief, know that the country is going to go in the right direction. We have the man for the job, the greatest president ever, first time elected, now going to be the greatest president the second time. Doesn't have to worry about re-election, running again. It's all about his legacy, folks, all about his legacy. Now, let's get to a little bit more. Watch this clip of Alan Lichtman, I believe, with his son. And folks, he's a Debbie Downer right now, folks. Check this out. Folks, does this say it all? Or does this say it all? I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm sorry or not. I have to be honest. I mean, take a look. He has no idea what happened. His whole world has come crashing down upon him. And he has himself to blame because of his TDS, his Trump derangement syndrome, his hatred, his enmity for Trump. It forced him to go to places that he knew he shouldn't have gone to. It forced him to bend his own rules of the 13 keys to the presidency. And he let Donald Trump live rent-free in his mind. And the virus, it was thoroughly infecting his body. TDS, folks, Trump derangement syndrome. And this is the aftermath right now. All right, so let's just check it out in this small clip.
Can't believe it.
Look at him.
I'm kind of in shock right now. I've been
Our country.
I've been hopeful this whole time.
I know you've been more hopeful than me.
I think it's gone. It's just not. There's just not enough room to make up. The math isn't there.
No, the math doesn't work. Numbers don't lie.
The keys
I'm a
lie.
numbers guy. You're a numbers guy.
It's the keys. What happened to your keys, Alan?
What point should we pack it in?
Whenever you want.
Well, I'll go to 1 anyway. That'll be what, 5 hours?
Yeah.
Hours.
It's all
That's pretty
crashing
good
down
for
on
an
him.
old man, huh?
I just can't
I'm
believe
not
it.
worried for myself,
No.
but
Yes, you are.
all these young people.
I just can't believe it.
He's
It is
thinking
hard to
about
believe.
how he's going to
just can't believe after
how
this
he's gonna
guy has-
how he's going to talk about this tomorrow. His whole world's crashing down. He's wrong. The
Essentially
great Alan
attempted
Lichtman.
to take down our democracy already.
Oh my
that
goodness!
people
Here
want
we
to
go.
people want to give him another chance.
Yeah. Oh, the democracy's gone.
So, like I was saying, folks, I don't feel a damn bit sorry for Alan Lichtman, for Cenk the Jenk Uyghur of the Young Turks, Brian Austin Green of 90210, Brian Austin Cohen, Tim Miller of the Bulwark, now the bullshit, the Midas triplets, Simon Rosenberg, David the Pac-Man, and so many others. I don't feel sorry a single bit, folks. Da-ba-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Absolutely, folks. I'm taking my bows. I'm patting my shoulder. Because we got it right. Got it right in 2016. Got it right in 2020. Got it right in 2024, folks. I'm the new Alan Lichtman of presidential prognosticators, of presidential professorial, of presidential providence. That's me. I have supplanted the great Alan Lichtman, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. Ooh, love it. And I don't have the 13 keys. You know what I have, though? I have got the master key. You know what the master key is, folks? It's called DJT, Donald J. Trump. And you know what else are the master keys? It's not 13. It's millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of American people who said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to unlock the presidential doors with our votes, our keys, and we're going to unlock that door, and we're going to let our keys be the entryway for Donald J. Trump to enter once again back into his home, the people's home, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, I got some more video clips here to share with you folks. of what some of the other people basically were prognosticating, forecasting. Check these out. They were all wrong, and we were all right. Check these out. Oh my God, before we get to that, folks. Oh my God. Kyle KKK Kalinske. I completely forgot about you, bruh. I forgot about you, and I am so sorry that I forgot about Kyle KKK Kalinske. So let's start it off with the Triple K himself, Kyle Kalinske.
And I'm going to go look up what the actual result was from the Iowa sales poll, and it's going to be like Trump +9. Like the first tweet I saw, it said Kamala +3. I'm like, nope, that can't be right. I gotta fact check that. This is just a rando Twitter account. It can't possibly be right. It is right. 3 seconds later, they started talking about it on CNN.
Idiots.
Wow. Could have seen this strong of a result for Kamala coming out of Iowa. And again,
bullshit.
That is for the other states, they got to be in panic mode right now, bro. Because a poll like this means it now, without a doubt, a very comfortable victory for Kamala is on the table.
The major pollsters, who are supposedly the most reputable, herding, which means basically punting and calling it 50-50, right? Or 1 point up here, 1 point down here. They don't mention that. And they also don't mention there is an entire cottage industry of Republican pollsters whose sole job is to pretend like Republicans are up way more than they are, right?
And those Republican pollsters that you talk about are not Republican, Kyle KKK Kalinske. It wasn't Mark Mitchell at Rasmussen. It wasn't Rich Barrett at the People's Pundit. It wasn't Atlas Intel, which isn't even a U.S.-based polling company. It wasn't Atlas or Insider Advantage or Trafalgar. I'm forgetting something else, and I can't remember. It wasn't, Gold Crown Politics. What about Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment? What about those guys? Or Red Eagle Politics? Or On Point Politics with Lester and his crew? What are you talking about, Kyle? If you would have been listening to them and at least taken a look at them, you would have known that this race is going in a completely different direction. But no, you stayed with what? YouGov, Apple, Yahoo, Newsweek, NBC, ABC, CBS, MSDNC, Morning Compost. All those pollsters by those corporate hacks that had a narrative to sell. That's why you got shafted. That's why you got screwed. And that's why I'm got a big smile on my face and dancing all over you guys in terms of your political graves that you dug because you had that narrative that you wanted. And today, I get to do my tap dance. Let's continue with Kyle KKK Kalinske.
Right. Now, to be fair, people say, well, those pollsters were the most correct in 2020. But what they don't tell you is they were the most incorrect in 2022, which is more recent. When everybody and their grandma said there was going to be a massive red wave, a historic red wave. All those pollsters said, the biggest red wave you've ever seen. And it wasn't. It was barely a red trickle. Democrats massively overperformed. Okay, so if you have one cottage industry of like 10 different pollsters that are right-wing hack pollsters who are lying, and then the reputable pollsters are just punting and calling it 50-50, it's giving you a misleading picture of a super close race, or if anything, Trump is slightly up. When all of the real data we have, if anything, is showing the opposite. Namely, there's
bullshit
one
data.
Super thorough poll from YouGov. They are not hurting. They did 48,000 likely voters, and they found Kamala +4.
Yeah, how'd that go with that YouGov poll? The YouGov poll was printed on toilet paper, I believe.
The Seltzer poll had Kamala +3 in Iowa, a state she should be losing by 10 points. And then you have the early voting numbers, which have been very good for Kamala and the Democrats. And so,
what the hell are you talking about? Very good. Did you even see? This is where you deceive and you lie, Kyle KKK Kalinske. The early voting? Are you kidding me? Republicans were crushing it. The only place where they were really, really behind was in Pennsylvania, but they weren't really behind. It was the Democrats who were behind from 1.1 million previously banked in 2020, the most secure and safe election ever. Yeah, right. To now, they lost over 700,000. They were behind. God, Kyle, KKK Kalinske. You're not telling the whole story, bro. You do what David the Pac-Man does. Lies of omission. For shame on you, Kyle, KKK Kalinske.
So this is what they're saying. I'm way more bullish on Kamala than they are, which is why
Good.
my bad map for Kamala, as I pointed out, is Kamala 276. My good map for Kamala is Kamala 355, where she wins Iowa and Florida.
Poly market, which is the Peter Thiel associated prediction market, has it for Trump by roughly 62 to 38. This is, of course, the big criticism of this is totally being pushed by rich Trump supporters dumping money in for Trump, and it doesn't really reflect the likely outcomes, but this has it at roughly 62. This is going to be close.
But I think a lot of those people in Polymarket, that big guy that's, I think, 25% of the money or something according to that line, he's got a chance to make like $40 to $50 million. Think he's not doing the little dance? Think those guys aren't doing a little bit of a dance where they put their money where their big mouth is? Because you got a big mouth, David the Pac-Man, but I don't think you made any money on this, did you, bruh?
Close electorally, unless it's not. And let me explain that.
Oh, please do so.
One
Explain.
of the growing narratives about all of the polling is that there is herding going on. Herding being the idea that you have a bunch of polls clustered around a coin flip, and then that you come in as a pollster, you do a poll and you go, oh my goodness, it's looking like a Kamala blowout. I don't want to be the outlier here. I don't want to be really wrong. I'd rather be as wrong as everybody else. So then you get a poll that says, I think Kamala's going to crush. And you say, well, let me adjust some of the crosstabs and the methodology and the sampling
Lying,
and the weighting
cheating,
so that my poll ends up looking just like all the others. And then the next poll comes in and does the same thing. So there is a possibility, if that theory is convincing to you, there is a possibility that this is not close. If it's not close, it's tough to imagine Trump blowing out Kamala. It's easier.
Yeah, David, the Pac-Man, why don't you go with that theory that this is so close that actually it makes sense that it is Kamala that's going to do the blowout. That's the theory that David the Pac-Man went with, because these guys don't understand polls, folks. They don't understand mathematics. They don't understand analytics. They don't understand cross-tabulation. They don't understand what it means to be a pollster who is not going to do the things like you're talking about, herding, which is basically like dry labbing. It's like when you were in lab and you knew what the end result was supposed to be. So you started out at the end point and you worked your way backward to the beginning to make sure everything fit. And then you handed in your paper to the professor to get the A. Because you really didn't do the thing from start to finish. You went to the finish, what you wanted, and then you went back to the start, to the narrative. And that way you were able to fill in the blanks, exactly the story, what the numbers, the analysis, everything that was put inside there. It's all fakery. It's all fraudulent. But that's what the world that you guys live in. You live in that world. You breathe in that world. You revel in that world. You are that world. And you're never going to leave it. And I don't want you guys to leave it. Because the more you stay in that world, the better off we are and the more wins we're going to pile up, folks. The more wins. So I'm begging you guys, please, David the Pac-Man, Kyle, KKK, Kalinske, Tim, Miller of the Bulwark, now the bullshit. The triplets at the Midas Touch, which isn't Midas anymore. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. Alan Lichtman, Simon Rosenberg, and anybody else that I've forgotten. Please, please continue the same way that you guys have been doing it. I'm begging you. Stay on that path. Stay in that lane. Because as long as you do so, I'm going to continue being right. Because that's what I've always said. Remember, it's my final thought. Every time I do my show, I am so right. It's unbelievable how right I am. Because when you are right, you're right. And when you're left like you guys, you're always, always wrong. True? True dat. True dat. Well, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. I had a blast. This is one of the most funnest. That's right, word. That's right, folks. I love that word. It was one of the most funnest videos I have made in a long freaking time. Because for the past year, we were making videos of all kinds of things, reactions to all, everything out there in the politosphere. And we were also making videos about Donald Trump, making videos about where the polling was at, making videos about the electoral college map. And when we were doing that, yeah, there was fun involved in doing it, but there was also some trepidation. There was also some tenseness. There was also anxiety. Because what if? But you had to make the call. And then you have to live and die by the call. But it's about country. It's about the other fellow patriots. It's about the millions and millions of people who came out for Donald Trump and conservatism and did it. So we appreciate you taking the time to watch, because you know what? You have been watching the Dr. Nasser Sheikh Show, who has been right all along, folks. And I really appreciate the ride that you've given us here at the show. So put your comments on below. Let me know what you think. Put your tap dance down there. Put your dance. What's that? I don't even know the way Donald does it. But I got a smile that's a mile wide, folks. Anyways, what do I always say at the very end? That's right, my final thought. When you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, y'all take care and stay safe.